you look around the league, there's a lot of teams, in the hunt. We're in the hunt. You sit here and you say, hey, Thanksgiving, and close to the end of November, and we're in the hunt. When you sit around that table tomorrow, you're saying we're in the hunt. And there's a lot of teams that wish they were in the hunt. Well, we're in the hunt.
I always like to come up with something to describe the game, like a metaphor. And I would say this game for Bills fans was a warm bath. Like, not the most exciting game at all, but man, was it comfortable and satisfying, and I masturbated during it. So that's what I would describe it as, the warm bath of Bills games. It's the In the Hunt cast. Greg Bauk, Sean Murphy, and Kyle Turner are here. And we have a special guest as well. Luke Touma is here as well. Luke, say hi to everyone before the other two jerks talk.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, man. Go Bill.
I'm just happy Greg's emergency penis surgeries are paying off, and
Yeah, that's right.
You can still go to town on yourself. That's good to know.
Even if it didn't work, I'd still slap it around a little, just out of habit.
It's tough to get a boner in water, I think. I don't know.
That was my yearbook quote.
Well, this went off pretty fast.
You want to start? Let's start over. 3, 2, 1. The Bills beat the Patriots 27-10. Let's talk about it in the Huntcast. Go ahead. I mean, where do we start?
24-10.
This is great because I didn't even put this together till literally right now. Luke lived in Boston for a long time, so you were in the devil's vagina, as they call it, in my house.
I started comedy in Boston. I was just gonna let that come. I'm like Bills Patriots games have always been huge for me just growing up because I always hated them because of Brady and everything. But now that I have so many friends in Boston, like good friends, it's like taking on a whole new life where like I get nervous in a different way because I'm so excited to talk shit for the next week if we win. And I'm like terrified of the shit talk if we lose, but there's not that much here anymore because they're so bad.
Oh, you're like an NFL cornerback then. Like they live to talk shit, but it was going to come back on them. Like I can't live that life. I don't talk shit. I enjoy my football, but I won't talk shit because shit gets talked back to you. That's tough. That's tough.
I've gotten very good at like getting in their heads too. Like if you have any friends who are Pats fans, don't let them do the Matt Patricia thing. They want to do this thing. Matt Patricia's is like, the way he calls the plays, dude. Like Matt can't do anything. Like I've been texting all them going, dude, it sucks. You guys have such good coaching, but like your quarterback is so terrible. I'm like, he's actually like the play calling was flawless. It's just like terrible because like
you just need a quarterback that could execute, and then you'll be fine. I think. I love seeing this version of the Pats because it's Bills drought era offense. It's 3rd and 15. I better throw it 4 yards and hope for the best. It's like pathetic offense.
Yeah. I mean, there's no motor. There's nothing. I mean, I saw like the QBs they've beaten they beat Zach Wilson 2 times, Jacoby Brissett, and Ellinger, and like it's been like so like
I don't even know who Ellinger is. Is that a real name? Like I swear to God, I don't know what team that is. Who was Ellinger?
From the Colts when they benched Matt Ryan.
God,
they benched him. And they
sounds like a mystery novel writer. Ellinger, yeah, I got his new book. The case is closed.
No, they're awful, and Pats fans are like the most delusional people in my life right now, and I've never seen a fan base this delusional because Brady was so good and like he won 6 Super Bowls for them. That might never happen again for like one quarterback in one team to win 6 rings in the NFL. So they're like, they don't understand that they're just another mediocre team. Mm-hmm. And like most teams go decades without winning Super Bowls. And my friends will be talking, they'll be like, dude, we're probably gonna, Belichick, we're gonna pull some he'll pull some crazy shit out of his ass and we'll make the playoffs and win a couple games. I'm like, no, that's not not going to happen.
That's what's crazy about the fans. Like if the Bills won 2 Super Bowls, I don't think I'd ever boo them again.
No,
you know what I mean? Like anything they could roll out like an entire team of like people in wheelchairs, and I'd be like, yeah, sure, yeah, absolutely. This is what we're gonna roll with. Who cares? It's impossible, and like to boo their team after 6 Super Bowl. I'm like, it's like the rich kid being like, you got me more gifts last year.
They booed him at halftime and they were within 10 points.
Yeah.
They
This
put them
is
against one of the best teams in the league. They won a Super Bowl like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's like it's not like they were good in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like they were good 5 years ago.
For 2 decades, they won freaking 6 Super Bowls, and we're in 9 or 10 of them, whatever.
Now, normally this was one of the more, even though it didn't show up on the scoreboard, I thought one of the more complete Bills wins, maybe since first half of Green Bay, maybe Kansas City, but we know Kyle here probably has shit to talk. I mean, by the way, first team in NFL history to win 3 Thursday night games in a season, all 3 on the road. Third road game in 12 days. Bill's run game is back. What do you got to complain about this week, Kyle?
I mean, really, really nothing. I would have loved more than 24 points, but I understand you can't score all the time, even though they have in the past. So it is doable. Again, the offensive line, a story I told before the pod, I watched maybe about 60% of this game. There was some wild shit in my life happening. And I went, I'm okay. I just want to say it was outside. I was literally watching it. Anyways, I wanted to shit on Questenberry for the majority of the podcast. That was going to be my life. That was the tweet of the game. And I've decided to not do the tweet of the game because I have since learned he was fighting through like 3 injuries and kept putting him out there. And it did make me want to bring up to complain about something goes back to a couple weeks, the last couple pods, is me being like, Brandon Beane, you bring in Questenberry gets hurt, and you have so little depth or confidence in Bobby Hart or whoever the hell Murray was that they trotted out there for a play or two, that you keep putting this fucking injured guy who Judon is literally just going around. He's not even putting a hand on him. He's so hurt he can't even get a hand on the pass rusher.
I know.
That's fucked up.
It was at a point you could just put a fat guy out there, and he would have just lucked into slowing him down at a couple points. Questenberry was falling over on plays. He was so hurt.
Questenberry was trying the Yo Mama joke defense, like anything to slow Judon down. It's just like, your mother's so fat, damn it, he's tiny. Like anything to just distract him for a millisecond, and it was not working.
Kyle, are you the Bills pessimist, the pessimist Bills fan of the podcast?
Yeah,
yes.
But it's literally like I've said before, people have tweeted me and been like, when are you going to drop the character? It's PTSD, man. It's not a character. I have a Bills tattoo after a JP Lossman win. Like I am scarred for life. Like, sorry.
It's surprising. You're usually such like a bubbly, optimistic guy.
So normally we go through like our favorite plays of the game. We call them our boner plays, the plays that gave you the boner. You can see a theme with our podcast, and you can just
Mostly
hang up, Luke, if you want. Like, we're terrible people and 5 years old. So I will say the touchdown that put them up 24, like that score was so important because Questenberry or what is his name? Questenberry. Because he was so bad, and his backup was even worse than him, that they trolled him back out there with ankle problems. I thought they have to score there, or else this game will get too interesting. So that touchdown, the Singletary touchdown, I thought was the point where I can just be relieved.
Well, I have 2 candidates, but let's let Kyle. I'll go Kyle next. Do you have a boner of the game?
I have 6 mini boners.
Whoa, 6?
Yeah. All 6 were James Cook's receptions.
Oh, okay.
And here's why is we talked about before, like the Patriots offense was mostly just short checkdowns. And I've said since Allen, actually became this elite quarterback, I was like, this dude has every year had like the lowest amount of checkdowns, which is fine. But I at the same time, you can't dismiss that like guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees are going into the Hall of Fame, and they spent a lot of their career checking down to running backs. It is such a important and safe option. And he picked up like 8 yards a reception he averaged or something like that. So I was like, just the fact that they finally got a running back involved in the passing game was Boner Town.
And second week in a row, McKenzie was a factor, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I also think like the checkdowns kind of go parallel to like Josh's production this year. Like at the beginning of the year, I was like, dude, he's checking down every time he needs to, and he was playing like Superman. And then that little like, I think he's out of it now, but that like 2.5 game stretch of not playing great, I felt like he was checking down so much less. Like the final interception in the Vikings game, he should have checked it down to Singletary.
He should have ran.
Yeah,
he would have gotten 20 yards.
But I also like that bothers me about Dorsey too, like the red zone play calling. I don't love the like slants across the middle when we're on the 8-yard line when like our quarterback's the size of a vending machine. Like I know we don't want to get hurt, but I'm like I don't love this like passing it into the like middle of traffic all the time. But I do love to see a good Josh check down.
The pass where he was falling out of bounds, like that like I've been looking at that video all day. There's a picture that someone posted that actually like retweeted. It was Allen about to like leap into the air. So he's not quite in the leap in the air, he's just holding the ball, obviously on his way out of bounds. And it shows 3 Patriot defenders in the end zone where he's about to throw the ball. And you can see Davis behind them. And he threw that ball. It's the most incredible picture I've ever seen of a football scene. And someone I follow tweeted like, show someone this picture that didn't watch the game and ask them what happens. Like, you know, because you could not guess that was thrown for a touchdown. It's one of the most incredible plays that in Bills history.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna say I have two boners here. I loved the Mac Jones little weak dump off intentional grounding from the 1-yard line. Like he was about to get blasted into the sun and was like, just threw it into like the shins of his offensive tackle, which was lovely. And I thought the missed field goal was real fun too.
Yeah, 46 yards. Yeah. Have fun with Nick.
It was also funny because as soon as he kicked it and it clearly wasn't going to go left or right, the announcer was like, down the middle, perfect. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, wait, he missed that. Which pretty wild.
Which, by the way, I know Al Michaels, is a legend, but man, put a little emotion in your voice even when that Allen play happened, which is insane play, like care a little bit. Give me a little something in your voice.
Both of those guys, Kirk Herbstreit admitted on the broadcast that he just learned that day that the Diggs trade was for Justin Jefferson.
He had to be joking. How are you
the color commentator?
He had to be joking. That had to be
sarcasm. I don't think he was. I don't think he says a lot of things during the game that I think he only does his homework for that broadcast. And then he's not as immersed in the NFL. He's so immersed in college football. Think about how much more effort that would be to be immersed in the NFL. They just gave him a dump truck full of money to sit next to Al Michaels. And it's really not a good broadcast at all.
I mean, I don't know if there's any broadcaster who doesn't annoy me at this point. Even like Romo, I used to think like, oh, Romo's good. He like knows all his shit, which he does. Like, but now he just the sound of his voice is like nails on a chalkboard.
We like Romo. Like I like him. But we talked about this because he did the last game. But I get it.
It sounds like he's coming in his pants like every third. Like,
that's what I like. That's what I'm into.
Yeah, Greg's a big fan of that.
I mean, they'll never get him in the NFL. I think they tried him in the NFL, but Gus Johnson in college is like notorious. He's like a Mexican soccer announcer.
He's not Mexican.
I know, but that's the amount of emotion he puts into anything.
He did NFL games. He did a JP Lossman game where Lee Evans had 2 80-yard touchdowns, and he was it was incredible. His calls, dangerous. Oh, like he's one of the best. I like.
Have you heard of like compilations of like Joe Buck calls where he'll like just say the person's name? You know what I mean? Like fucking Tyreek Hill will make a catch and go Hill. Like he'll just say his name louder. Like he won't describe anything.
What is Joe Buck even doing now? Does he do NFL anymore? I don't even know.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
he's on Fox.
Is he?
We just never hear him because we never are on Fox ever.
I guess I watch other games. I haven't heard him in a long time. So that's why he did a bunch of baseball too this year. So I can't stand Joe Buck.
Well, some other notes on the game here. Elam benched, healthy.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
We needed cornerback. Dane Jackson's been getting, run over these past 2 games, and they're still like, no, we don't we're going to bench Elam, and not great, especially because I've been sitting on this take for a while here, Greg. Get ready for this take. But like, I don't think we give the Bills enough little jabs about not being great in the draft the past 3-4 years, especially last year. So you're coming into this year, you're a Super Bowl favorite. You'd think you'd add some guys to really push you over the edge. And this was Cook's best game in week, 12, wherever we're at. Elam's been in and out of the lineup. Bernard is a backup linebacker. Your 6th round punter was a rapist. Your 6th round they drafted an offensive lineman in the 6th round. They needed offensive lineman depth. They didn't even make the team. And let's just you would think there would be, Shakir hasn't really taken that step. Like, you think there would be 1 or 2 players that really just kind of help solidify some stuff. And not to say they won't in the future, but for this year, other than Benford, it's been a pretty down, draft class, unless Cook takes that step in the end of the season here.
So what's a good year? What's a good draft class? If in 2 years you've got 2 players from a 7-player draft class, so you draft 7 guys on average, and let's just say 2 of them in year 2 of their contracts are like contributing to your teams, maybe even starters. Was that a good year? Because when I look at their draft class, I think of Oliver, who was, a wild. I don't even know if that was a Bean.
I think
that was
right
before Bean.
But if I'm looking at the last 3 to 4 years,
so you got Basham and you got Epineza, who are both contributing on the defensive.
They're both fine,
line.
but they're also being out snapped by Shaq Lawson. Do you know what I'm saying? Who
was a pick of the regime before that?
Yeah, but still, you'd expect a little more from there. And even Gabe Davis has fallen out. Spencer Brown is all right. Other than Rousseau and Tyler Bass, have you really had a bullseye in the past 3 drafts?
Boogie Basham's pretty good. I mean, Rousseau, Boogie Basham, 1st and 2nd in 2021 was people were 2 edge rushers, but I think they're both pretty productive.
Boy, I think it's they need linemen. Their line's really bad, but you only have so many picks. That defensive line, that rotation, their 5th best defensive tackle would make an impact on another team.
Dude, I would be honest though, Sean. I just pulled up I was like, all right, let me see who they've drafted. Dude, we took just seeing that we drafted Zach Moss is so upsetting. Just seeing his name upset me.
Yeah. But I think how people really judge the draft, how when analysts are saying who's the best GM, I think they go by number of draft picks that are still in the league. And so there was some wild stat that I saw. Oh, God, I wish I could remember the team, but over the past 5, it may have been Oakland, over the past 5 drafts, the Mike Mayock drafts or whatever, they had 3 guys that were still in the league.
Yeah.
And the rest were completely out. And I think if you go by that, I think Bean is solid. I mean, Wyatt Teller's one of the best guards in football. Levi Wallace is starting in Pittsburgh.
But if you raise the bar a little bit, say the bar is you like this player enough to offer them a 2nd contract. Now, obviously, a lot of these kids, they still have time to go, but I don't think as of right now, unless his value is low, I don't think Boogie gets a 2nd contract. I don't think Epinesa gets another contract. Gabe Davis might not get a 2nd contract. I don't know how many of these people, other than Bass and Rousseau, you'd actively bring back on your team.
So why do you hate the Bills?
I'm just saying. I think we don't talk about their draft class could be a little better.
Well,
because they're 9-3. They're one of the best teams in football.
I'm trying to give Kyle a bone, things to complain about here. I just wanted to throw a hot take.
I got bones, baby.
I hate this complaining about the draft class after that went over the New England.
I gotta be honest.
I don't even care. I don't care if they've never drafted a single starter in the league. They're fucking 9-3, and they just
they're great. They're great.
The fucking Patriot fans are wanting Belichick to quit football. This is one of the best post games ever. Stop it, Murphy.
This is a standard Bills fan that Greg's being, where just because they're winning now, there's no problems ever. But the minute there's a problem, the minute they lose, the world is falling apart. Yeah. Now, 100%. Here's what you got to be. I'm always at the world is falling apart. That's where you fuck up, Greg. You got to be ready for the world falling, and you're not ready for it.
I will complain about the team when it's like, I'll look and say, yeah, they need some help. Maybe the draft class isn't that good. But this game, there were so many things. Fucking Mac Jones ran backwards for 30 yards. It was like
It was
the
great.
Keystone Cops. It was one of the
We're gonna
most
talk
fun
about it, but
plays I've
Elam
ever
was
had.
Elam
No,
was
you're
benched.
not.
We
You're
had to bring
talking
it up.
about the
We had to bring it
goddamn
up.
draft class of 2018. Who gives a shit? Mac Jones ran backwards.
It's all you text me about is the Bills draft class from 2019 to 2020. Now you don't want to talk about it. I see how it is.
How
was
are we
between me and
feeling
you.
about how are we feeling about Gabe Davis on here? What are the Gabe Davis thoughts?
I brought this up, and I think a lot of people are now saying it. I'm more on the side of Ken Dorsey can't get this guy open. I see other wide receivers on other teams, like pretty, this sounds so ridiculous, but like you watch Miami, there's guys wide open. You watch really good offensive teams. You watch Kansas City, there's no one around those wide receivers when they catch the ball. And I know like 2 weeks ago, whenever they lost to Minnesota, Patrick Peterson came out, and this has been a talking point for a while now. Is Patrick Peterson came out because he intercepted the ball in the end zone, and they were asking him about it, and he said something along the lines of Gabe Davis runs 3 routes,
Yeah.
and so I knew where to be for that, and that's how I picked it off. And then it was like, he only runs 3 routes, and is that more of a Gabe Davis thing or a Ken Dorsey only asking him to run 3 routes?
Well, also, I got to say, Gabe Davis strikes me as the person who's going to get paid with a capital P in free agency after next year. And I just think, like, in my mind, there's just no way we resign him because he's going to get so much money with all those touchdowns. And, like, I just think he's going to get so much money.
Some team with a lot of cap is going to be like, yeah, they didn't use you properly.
Yeah,
you come here, you're gonna be our number.
The Bears are going to give him $80 million. They're going to pay him more than Diggs, and there's just no way.
Perfect team. That's such a perfect team. He's definitely going to be a Bear. That's perfect.
I think Dorsey, I don't love all of Dorsey's play calls. I like Dable's better. Like I like the way Dable called the plays better than Dorsey. But I mean, Dorsey's not telling him to lead the league in drops. The guy is like he drops. It's like every game. I feel like he has a brutal drop. Like the last 5 games, it's driving me insane watching that guy.
Yeah. It may have been one of those things, and I kind of brought this up when we did our fear episode before the season, where I think he might be a so-so wide receiver too. I know this is also crazy because he is on pace for over 1,000 yards, but he is playing with Josh Allen. But like, he may be just an average wide receiver too, but he could easily be the best wide receiver 4 in the league. And that's where he flourished his first 2 years, whereas, his rookie year and then into the playoffs. But like the wide receiver 4 is like not what it used to be, obviously, where it was just like this guy buried on the depth chart. Now there are so many 4 wide receiver sets that like that wide receiver 4 is just as important. And he may be the best at that. And I don't know. Well, again, I don't know who to blame yet.
Well, let's not blame anyone. Greg's getting antsy. He wants to be more positive. Let's talk about some positive things, Greg. What do you want to talk about? The run game? The run game's been good.
I never heard that quote that the
Peterson.
cornerback for that Peterson said that Gabe Davis only has 3 routes. I just think it's funny. Like if Dorsey heard that press conference and then got out a sheet of paper and wrote like an arrow and erased it going this way, and just wrote it that way. Like he's just like, no, he's got 4, bitch. He's got 4 routes, bitch. Like how hard is a fucking route? You do this, do that, or you do that. Like of course he only has 3 routes. There's only really 3 routes in football: down and in, down and out, posts, slant, whatever.
It is great, the tradition of almost going on Twitter and hearing Boston radio losing their mind after a Bills win. That's some good stuff.
That's my warm bath, man. That's what I'm saying. It just feels so fucking good because fuck that franchise. And fuck their fans. Like they had it so good for so long. I have this personal relationship with Bill Belichick. You all know that. He treated me like shit. And I just love seeing him angry and upset and having to answer questions after a loss. If you don't know, Luke, I used to work for a sports radio station, and I would like go and cover like the opposing team's practices and shit. And when Spygate was going on and Belichick just refused to talk about it, even though he was like dead to rights guilty, he acted like such a little bitch, and it used to drive me crazy. So I just love watching him have to get asked questions that I know he doesn't want to answer because he's just a piece of shit human being.
And Mac Jones is just, Matt, first of all, you know, I hate to criticize someone's face because I'm so hot, but Mac Jones has such like, man, just such a face you like to hate, you know, and Belichick's kid on the sideline, like it's just, they're like so hateable just by looking at it.
Oh,
and
dude, his kid is hideous.
Yeah.
Not Mac Jones.
Oh,
Bill Belichick's
God.
kid is insane. He looks like he had an accident somewhere.
Ian Belichick.
Yeah.
And like
stinks.
it's tough to know because Mac Jones will have an okay game every 2 or 3. I still don't know. I know he's not elite. I know he's not like a top 8, top 10 quarterback. I don't know if he's like a mid-ground person yet, or if he's, you know, a Zach Wilson in waiting. That part of it I just don't know yet.
The kid, again, like if we're giving buys to people, like Zach Wilson doesn't get a buy. He's terrible.
Yes.
But like Mac Jones, what do you have? He's working with a defensive coordinator who's like,
True.
who can't talk to people because he's a scientist.
No number 1 receiver.
No, he has got no number 1 or 2. And
he's got 2 tight ends. He's got 2 tight ends.
He's got 2 tight ends and a really good running.
$500 million for.
Yeah, every time you hear that money, in my brain, it gets more and more expensive. It's like, well, I got Hunter Henry. They got him on $1 billion contract. And then he got him like, how much did they pay for these 2 tight ends? It's insane. In
the Patriots
2020,
the Patriots with their tight end is like a dude living in a trailer park who drives like a Humvee. He's got this super expensive, stupid car that's bankrupting him and doing him no good.
No, it's gonna be like someone talking about crypto in 10 years. They're like, it's gonna come back. This is gonna be really big in 10 years, and you're like, no, we've been through this.
Yeah, stop.
I don't think Mac Jones is like a starting QB in the NFL. I think he's a good guy that would be a really good backup. And then if your starter gets injured, you're like, oh, he was good for the last 7 games of the season when he had to pick up. But if you see Pats fans talk about it, like they're not even that delusional about it. They're like, he could be Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm like, yeah, he's the best roster in football.
Yeah. With
also,
the best coach.
And also Jimmy Garoppolo sucks at quarterback. He just happens to be in the best situation ever. That's the problem with Mac Jones. I don't hate his face as much. It's a stupid face, and I'd punch it, but I don't hate it like I hate Belichick's. And I don't think he's the worst quarterback. I wouldn't even compare him to Trent Edwards because I think he might have more potential than that. The problem was he had that fucking 7-game winning streak last year, and he was in Canton. Like, he made the Pro Bowl. They were ready to already make him the next best thing.
He was the 85th. Crazy. He was ranked the 85th or voted the 85th best player in the NFL.
And I must have been 86th. That's pathetic.
I'm already bringing that other whatever his dumb name is, Buddy Zipper. Bring him in. Let's fucking ruin him too. Let's go through all of them.
I want to buy Madden and create a player named Buddy Zipper now. I haven't played the game in 20 years.
One of my favorite parts of the game, because I want to talk about Belichick specifically for a little bit, is that 2-minute drive. Or the last 2 minutes of the game where he just let the Bills kneel it out, and he had all 3 timeouts. And so at first you're like, what an idiot, or not an idiot, but like, this dude's a fucking lame pussy. And then in the press conference, he said something kind of smart where he goes, I just didn't want my guys to get injured. And you're like, oh, that's smart. But then you're like, you're fucking football. They're football players. Like they don't want this. They just shut them. You just quit. You just were just like, let's get the fuck out of this. I'm like, let them air it out. Let them make that decision.
I'm all aboard his decision. At that point, you got like a 0.8% chance of winning. And
I mean, who cares?
He watched his quarterback run backwards for 30 yards. He just didn't want to see that again.
Then put a different guy in. Like, you tell me those players didn't want to play. Like, I don't know. I think
I get you.
It's football, and it's, you know what I mean. Stop the Bills. Maybe you score a touchdown. Maybe you don't know what happens on an onside kick. I'm just saying, like, it's not like there was 1 minute. There was like a minute 54 left, and you had all 3 timeouts.
That's what I love.
The Josh Allen fumbled a snap in the end zone in Minnesota. He could fumble again.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about these Bills-Pats games, though, is like every other game we play, like I love seeing us blow teams out, but it also is fun seeing us like win a game that's kind of a heater, like the Thanksgiving game. But like the past 2 years, like these Pats games that we've won, they've been like hopeless for Patriots fans.
Yeah,
Like
right.
that. Like when we play them, I want us to just kick the shit out of them. I don't want it to even be a good game. Like I like watching them just have to fight us defeated.
Yeah, there's nothing. I love beating the Patriots in convincing fashion. Going to that dumb dildo Dave Portnoy's Twitter to hear he'll be like, they fucking don't got it, man. They're fucking done. And I'm like, I'm with Greg. I'm jacking off me and him together back to back. It's great stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, he'll be like, AFC's one for Buffalo now. AFC.
Before we move on to the trivia game, we have to bring up last week. We got a little bit of a Nathan Peterman cock tease there that I was so excited about out there. And I didn't know he was still with Chicago. He was the third quarterback apparently with Chicago. Fields was hurt. And then the backup hurt himself in warmups. And they said Peterman starting. And everyone got happy. I was the most, because you want to go into that game. I think, Greg, you've said this before. Like you want him to throw for 800 yards, or I want him to throw 10 interceptions. I want him to put on the Nathan.
I want redemption or the total entertainment of the Peterman meltdown.
And I was so excited to watch the game. And then the backup, I already forget who it was, but he pulled through, and we saw no Nathan Peterman, and it was such a disappointment.
The backup is the most backup quarterback in the NFL. I think he's played for 10 teams. I can't get his name.
Trevor Siemian.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know that I would have gotten it multiple choice. Like, you could have said, like, Trevor Siemian, one of the friggin', I don't know, one of those quarterbacks that played for
something.
Yeah, one of the McCoys or something like that. But what I saw was a tweet that came out when Peterman was announced that he was starting, even though it wasn't true. Rappaport or something said he's going to start. Someone said that DraftKings had 2 $100,000 bets again, like, for the Jets. Was it Jets Bears? Yeah, so 2 $100,000 bets for the Jets to clear like 7.5 points. And I just wanted so bad for the, that to backfire. And then it turns out Peterman didn't play, but they still covered. So the people that bet against him, like, still got the money.
Well, maybe one of these days. Crazy he's still in the league.
I can't believe he still has a job. Like all the quarterbacks out there, like that guy.
Yeah.
Like 3 touchdowns and like 11 picks in his career.
Wild.
This guy actually started. He's 13-17 as a starter. Isn't that
Siemian?
wild? Yeah, he threw.
He was
30.
in Denver when they had a decent team.
Yeah.
So
he went 8-6 1 year with Denver.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a really good defense. That was
probably why he's still running. That's how a backup quarterback stays in the league. Really, they have one good chunk of games, and everyone for 20 years is like, that guy's going to be our starter.
I think he was the placeholder before Manning, and then Manning came in and won 2 Super Bowls. But I might have that backwards. He was either before or after Manning. It doesn't matter. Just someone else talk.
Okay, we'll go to the question. Do you have a blurb from Tom, Greg? By chance?
No, he didn't get back to me. So
okay, well, sorry, Thomas Mulcahy. Send us 2 next time. We love you, our number 1 Patreon. Luke, we always play for a fake jersey. The winner gets a fake jersey of a Bills player. Jersey on the line today is Luke Touma, who would have, here's this trivia, would have been the first Luke to make the Bills, but he didn't, and now he's an offensive tackle for Green Bay. No Luke has ever made the Bills. They've been Luke-less, and this was the offensive lineman drafted in the 6th round, didn't make the team. He could have been playing, and so Quisenberry didn't have to go to the hospital after the game, but, apparently not good enough, but he's with Green Bay now. And also I want to say, Kyle, I noticed this. I picked up on this. You haven't won a trivia game since the Chiefs game. You started slumping when the Bills started slumping a little bit. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Our souls are connected.
Yeah, save your rants about yourself there. Maybe you pick up the slack. stop dropping games at the last
I
second.
think one of the questions in one of the games was like, how many Twitter followers does Greg have? So like,
It was.
I'm gonna say you skew the questions a little bit towards Greg.
Well, this one, maybe call your shots here. Get some confidence going. We're going to start, Luke. First question to you. What number is larger? OBJ, regular season receiving TDs, or the price of the cheapest ticket for the corn and stained double bill at Darien Lake, August 24th, 2021?
It's been a while since we were double billed with that.
I thought you were gonna say 2023, and I was gonna be like, we're going. We have to go. Do a Patreon there.
Which one is larger?
Which one is larger? OBJ maybe still in the running for coming to the Bills, his regular season receiving touchdown total, or the cheapest ticket available for corn and stained at Darien Lake in August 2021? What is larger?
I'm going to go the cheapest ticket for corn and stained.
Okay. All right. Kyle, what do you think?
I'm going to go OBJ touchdowns because he was pretty wild for a few years. And Darien Lake has like a grass field. So I think,
okay.
You get the gate ticket or whatever I think you get cheap.
Worst concert venue in America. That like getting out of that place is such a disaster.
I saw Kid Rock there. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Whoa! Stop bragging.
Not. It wasn't a Kid Rock concert. He was there with the grass ticket to see Corn and Stained, and Kyle's like, "Hey, Kid Rock is over there getting high."
He was a Cardi.
Yeah. I put OBJ's total when you said it in my mind at 60, and I think that's way too high. Like there'd be cheaper Darien Lake tickets, so I'm also going to go with Corn Stained.
Greg and Kyle get the point. OBJ has 56 receiving touchdowns, crazy. And the cheapest ticket for Corn and Stained was $29.50. A steal.
Wow. Yeah. What was the total again? I was punching the camera.
56 versus $29.50.
Okay. I was close. 4 off. Okay.
We're close. We'll start with Kyle for question 2. Bruce Smith has the most Bill sacks of all time.
True.
Aaron Schobel is second, but who is third, Kyle? Is it, you have multiple choice, is it Cornelius Bennett, Phil Hansen, Mario Williams, or Jerry Hughes? These are just Bills sacks.
I've been thinking about Bill sacks all day.
I guess I'm gonna go Phil Hansen.
Going Phil Hansen. Okay, Greg, to you next.
Biscuit.
Going Biscuit. Luke Touma, what do you think?
I'm gonna go Jerry Hughes.
Jerry Hughes, all pretty good answers, but Kyle gets it with Phil Hansen. Eddie. Phil Hansen had 61. Next up was Jerry Hughes with 53. Then Cornelius Bennett 52.5, and Mario Williams with 43.
I didn't even know Jerry Hughes had that many. I thought he had one great season, and then the rest.
He was here
for a long time.
I thought he wanted to play for the Bills. I thought Mario Williams kind of sucked for us. I remembered him not like living up to my expectations. I can't believe he got that many. Yeah, he is seventh on the list, though. A fun fact: Kyle Williams actually above Mario Williams. Granted, he was here longer, but still, D tackle.
Sean, I like that question. It was well done.
Oh, thank you. Well, question number 3, we're going to start we'll start again with Kyle because he has the lead here. So
all right.
You don't want people.
This is where I'm saying I feel like you're cheating.
What do we do? 3?
Yeah. We do 3 questions. Yeah. So you know what? As a guest, if you get this right, I'll give you 2 points because there is a tiebreaker. I want everyone to still be in it here. Question 3, Kyle, you'll start. Who does Josh Allen not follow on Instagram?
Oh, God, these fucking questions every week.
Is it A, Joe Burrow? Is it B, Trevor Lawrence? Is it C, Mac Jones? Or is it D, Trey Lance? One of those people he does not follow on Instagram. Burrow, Lawrence, Jones, or Lance. Who is it?
You know what? I think he follows Lance because I initially wanted to say Lance, but I think he follows Lance because I think he did a thing before the draft of being like, a pump-up video of like they said small school guys can't make it in the NFL. Look at me. So I'm going to say, I'm going to say because he's a Patriot, I'm going to say Mac.
Okay, interesting. Luke, what do you think?
I'm going to second that. I'm going to go with Mac Jones.
Greg?
I have no reason to guess, but I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence was my first instinct, so I'll say Trevor Lawrence.
Luke and Kyle are correct. It's Mac Jones. And even with giving Luke 2 points, Kyle takes it. He heard me call him out, and he had to post the win. So enjoy that Luke Tenuta jersey.
Thank you.
And congratulations for a big win. Now, before we end, of course, we preview.
Luke, don't feel bad. The jersey doesn't exist. You wouldn't have won the jersey. So, yeah.
Before we end, we got to talk about next week. They got 10 days off. They could rest, recover, and then they're home for the Jets, who will probably be starting Mike White.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, you always have a key to the game. Before we give our predictions, how do you think the Bills solve the enigma that is Mike White?
Easy. The answer's on his own team.
Oh, okay.
You make Zach Wilson bang Mike White's mom.
Okay.
It's that easy.
I don't like this make thing with sex. I don't like this. I want everything to be.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you make it happen like
You entice it
that
to
situation,
happen.
but yeah, you put them in the same room and you
Okay.
give them some wine and chocolate, and you're like, whatever happens, and then you bow out. I know the bed's in the shape of a heart. It's just coincidence. They only had the honeymoon suite here in Buffalo.
So many things Luke could be doing with his time. He's on this podcast.
Yeah, he could be trying to, with me, working to make this a possibility.
That's right.
I think this is a good key to the game. I think, the Bills staff, they get that done. And I think the Bills, I don't think we go 0-2 versus the Jets. It was such a close game last time. They're home this time. They're way more healthy. I think Mike White better than Zach Wilson, but I mean, as we saw when he played us last time, nothing great. So I think we really bring them back down to earth. I think he throws 3 picks. Bills win 32-7. It's my prediction. Luke, what do you think?
I also think it's going to be a blowout. I think, I don't know. It's hard because Mike White's not as shitty as Zach Wilson. But I would say I was at the first game. So stop the run. They ran the ball on us a lot. I would say stop the run. I know we're known for playing nothing but nickel, 2 high safeties. Whatever. The Jets, not great. I don't know. I think stop the run. They like to run the ball. They probably run it less with Mike White than Zach Wilson because at that first game, it just felt like they were terrified to let Zach Wilson do anything besides screens and checkdowns and hand the ball off.
Yeah.
So I do think they'll probably play downfield more, but I would say stop the run.
I think that's wise. And I think Edmonds was out for that game.
I was going to say Edmonds, it's been watching him play against the Pats. He's such a big difference in the 2 games they lost.
And
there.
Luke might not know this, but Kyle has hated Edmonds for 3 years, and he's finally starting to come around.
Yeah, well, he started to be better.
I did too, Kyle, by the way. I don't hate that at all. I think this year was the first year he wasn't infuriated.
Yeah. And, you could say that we've said before, same thing about our podcast. There may be someone that listened to us the first couple seasons like, these guys fucking suck. Well, listen now. We suck a little less.
We got to have a get back campaign. We can win back those listeners. We're good on Edmonds now. I think that they treat this game very much like the Patriots game, which is like a cat that caught a bird and is going to torture it for a little bit before it kills it. Just like they did with the Patriots. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think they're going to be in complete control and they're going to win this comfortably by 10 points. I don't give a shit. Just do whatever score you want. That's a 10-point difference. But I think it's going to be another game like that.
Yeah, I think the last game, Edmonds played that one, but no Phillip, no
Poyer.
Poyer, sorry. Yeah, no
Poyer.
Jordan Poyer. No,
undefeated with Poyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I agree with you guys. It's going to be a blowout, but the other way. Jets 49-10.
Wow, there go the listeners we gained back from.
Yeah. Oddly enough, Mike White's going to be into Zach Wilson banging his mom, and it's going to give him more confidence.
Oh man.
They're going to go with the 2 quarterbacks because they're both going to be so amped up by all the sex they have. All right, that's enough. This is a really
Yes,
long podcast.
I agree. Well, I just want to say, reminder for listeners out there, sign up for the Patreon. Shirts are being mailed out soon. I have most of your addresses. If not, Neil never got back to me about a shirt size. If you don't want one, hey, we get it. And
I'll wear it, Neil.
He doesn't even know he's a patron.
And Jonathan B and Patrick, I need your addresses. So go to your Patreon inbox, give me your address so we could send out those shirts.
If they died and that's why they're not getting back to you, let us know, family members. We will lay the shirts on their graves.
Yeah, and we'll keep the Patreon money coming.
Oh yeah,
in.
yeah, that's never
that's
yeah,
auto, baby.
Don't touch the credit cards.
Yeah. We're in the will.
Luke, do you have anything you want to promote or shout out here before we get going?
Follow me on Instagram, Luke Touma, Touma on Instagram. Come to a show. Yeah, man. That's about it.
Thanks for joining us. Kyle, Greg, anything before we leave here?
I want to thank Luke for being on the show. He did an excellent job.
Oh, thanks for
Luke.
having me.
Yeah.
I will be at Helium next the 7th, Wednesday at 8 p.m. With featuring for past guest Rick Matthews.
Oh yeah.
So if you're looking for a good time next week, next Wednesday, Helium Comedy Club, Rick and I will be there.
Yeah, come to that show, and I can't guarantee anything, but Patreon members might get free tickets to that. So check out.
Come to that show. I can't guarantee anything.
I can't, but hey, wait until Monday or Tuesday before you get your tickets, because that would maybe get you in for free. And that's it. Go Bills. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Luke. And that's it.
Sweet-o.
The Bills won.